Hi everyone, Michelle D'Amber here. I am going to go through a case study of a client of mine. It's 3 years of hair test. She's a female. She was 60 years old at the time that she came to me, and she was vegan. She had lost her son to suicide 3 years prior and became vegan then because she didn't want to harm any souls. So she came to me to start working on her health. Okay. Um, so this is her first hair test. This client was referred to me from a client of mine who actually kind of started her on the path with drinking spring water and eating more cooked vegetables because she was eating more raw food. So she kind of did that, and then she started feeling better. And so she's like, huh, interesting. I'm going to explore this. So she came to me. We did her first hair test August 2019, and I mentioned, her story. Her main concerns and conditions were fatigue, weight gain, body soreness, depression, asthma, and insomnia. She craved sugar, had poor memory, headaches, brain fog, and anxiety. So in her first hair test, we see that she was sympathetic dominant. We look at the four macro minerals: calcium, magnesium, sodium, potassium, and these are the ideal ranges in the blue. And her hair test shows that she's in slow oxidation, and we determine this with the sodium potassium is lower in relation to calcium magnesium. So this is adrenal burnout, um, very low energy, and sympathetic dominant. Anytime the potassium is below 5, that's sympathetic dominance. And she had poor eliminator pattern. That means she's not eliminating these other minerals and toxic metals. And she's not able to because she's low energy. There's a lot of other things going on too, like we call this a bowl pattern, which means feeling stuck. She's got kind of a double bowl here. There's a lot of things, but I'm just going to focus on some of the main things because this would take hours. So the client started the supplements but wasn't ready to begin eating animal protein. So I just gently, let her know that she won't really heal until she starts eating meat, but I can understand her decision for not eating meat and that she do the best she could with the program. So she went about her way. She took supplements, and she did her next hair test in January of 2020. And I'm not sure when in this time period, but she had texted me that her stomach had bloated up so much that she actually looked like she was pregnant. What I believe was happening was that she was disrupting the parasites and the candida, and they were kind of having like this little war in her digestive system because they didn't want to leave. Here she's starting to become a healthier, um, inviting host for the parasites, and so they were just kind of having this thing like that they don't want to let go. So she started using the red heat lamp, and then shining it on her stomach. And so in January, when we did her hair test, she said that she wasn't having as many headaches, and she still wasn't eating meat. But we see that she, has better elimination. So you can see that her potassium, which is part of sympathetic dominance, she's much better. She's still in sympathetic dominance, but we see some movement here, which is excellent. So she's gained some energy just from taking the supplements. So that makes sense that she said she was feeling overall way better. You can see that she has more energy in her hair test because she's able to eliminate more. She has a low sodium to potassium ratio and a low calcium to magnesium. And I'm going to get to that in another hair test about this double low. So then in February, she emailed me that she started eating meat. And I believe that, like I mentioned about the stomach, that this probably helped her. And then because she was gaining energy and more clarity, we start to see things differently. Sometimes we hold on to stuff and we're not quite, ready to let go. And then once we start to heal and gain energy, we're able to say, I don't need that anymore. So she started eating meat. And then her third hair test, we see that she has an elimination here. Um, Things are starting to come up more, and she's coming out of sympathetic dominant. She did get a bit of a calcium shell, but that's probably just to kind of protect her because this was uncomfortable feeling coming out. Let's see what she reported no more headaches, improved with fatigue, which makes sense because she's coming out sympathetic dominance, improved her asthma, cravings, depression, and sleeping better. And the calcium shell was probably helping her sleep better while this movement was happening internally. And then let's see, the next hair test, number 4, the client is doing much better with diet and resting. She was starting to have some suicidal thoughts and her cravings for sugar increased. So I mentioned in that hair test that she had this double low ratio. That's because the calcium magnesium is low, it's inverted. Calcium should be higher in relation to magnesium. And then the sodium potassium, same thing, there's an inversion. Sodium should be higher in relation to potassium. So these were in opposite ratios, so they were low. And that's called a double low ratio. And it's more reinforced because they're low, and the sodium potassium ratio is low, which is a chronic stress pattern. It's associated with low electrical potential across the cell membranes. Symptoms may include a tendency for infections, kidney stress, liver stress, cardiovascular stress, and sugar stress, blood sugar stress. So she was having those sugar cravings. And then here's the interesting part. She mentioned that she was having suicidal thoughts. So the psychological aspects of this double low ratio is, especially with the low sodium to potassium ratio, is associated with frustration, resentment, hostility, and a give up pattern. And in that give up pattern, the person may be feeling shattered and wants to give up and die. So visually, you can see it's like a seesaw, and or a saw. It's called stolen yang. Anyway, so the hair, what was going on with her body chemistry and what she was feeling, yeah, that's why she was feeling that, because the sodium is a volatile power mineral. And when that's lower in relation to potassium, you don't have enough power. So things are internalized. If anybody who suffers from high blood pressure, or somebody with high blood pressure, they are probably more extroverted, more angry, more expressive. So with somebody with a sodium to potassium ratio, they may have those feelings too, but they don't have enough power to show them externally. So they hold all of that internally. So they have the same type of thing, but it's more internal. And when you internalize that and you're not expressing it, it can feel like giving up or death. So that's what she was feeling with these ratios like that, inverted. What else? She was eliminating mercury, manganese. She was out of the calcium shell, which will have her feeling more. And she started to settle down after these were coming up. Okay, so hair test number 5. She has a much better elimination. You see these doubled. The iron, manganese, and aluminum are called the amigos because they're together. So where one or more is elevated on a hair test, we know that there's excess in that they're not able to eliminate. So once she started feeling better and was out of sympathetic dominance, she was able to eliminate. So these came out of stored places and were starting to come out because she had enough energy. And then look at this. Her phosphorus jumped up. She's eating meat, so she's getting some vitality back. She's not catabolic. This is excellent. What else? I think that's all I put down. So we have, this double coming alive. She's retracing her trauma, but she's coming out of this low sodium to potassium. It's still under, but she's coming out, so she's going to feel more. And then on the 6th hair test, she reported feeling tired and resting more and feelings of anger, which made sense because this, her sodium to potassium ratio is improving, which means that she's not internalizing and probably externalizing. And sometimes when people, feel that, they're like, oh, why do I feel so angry? But that's okay. Anger is not a bad thing. If we stay in it and we're, using it abusively, then yeah, it's not a good thing, but it's okay to be angry. And, you're going to feel more. In this case, she's feeling more because she doesn't have that buffer, that calcium that was more numbing. So that's going to have her feeling more. So she kind of settled down here, and that's good because, when people are on the program and you're allowing your body to rest, you can see that up and down, up and down. She's just, kind of resting, eliminating. Let's get back on the 7th hair test there. So she's having better, we moved. Okay, so she was resting and then she's starting to eliminate more. So she said her symptoms were coming and going, which makes sense. You can see that they're kind of up and down. So she's feeling that. And then everything's coming out, it's just all coming up and doubling, and, it's great. So she went from this double give up with the inversions to near perfect, ideal. Her calcium to magnesium ratio is excellent, and then her sodium to potassium, perfect. So she went from giving up to saying, no, I'm not going to feel that way anymore. And I remember us talking, and she no longer, even though she was still grieving and she'll always miss her son, she was starting to feel like it's okay for her to have a life, and to not be sitting in that, the grief holding her back from living her life. So this is excellent. And then let's look at her last hair test. And then look at that. I mean, everything just exploded. Look at her iron, manganese, aluminum. This is beautiful. So she reported this is great. I'm going to explain this in a minute, but I just want to show you. So you can see that this was kind of building up a few hair tests before. She's struggling with this depression, suicidal, anger, and then everything's coming up, and then boom, explosion. And then look at the first hair test, and then look where she is 3 years later. It took some time working, retracing, resting, eliminating, resting, working through, these thoughts and feelings, and now she let go. Instead of holding it in, she was able to just release it out of her body. And when she released it out of her, a wonderful, beautiful thing happened. It wasn't just about her physical symptoms, but she reported that in her profession of being a violinist, that she had more control over her bow arm and wasn't getting nervous while performing as she used to. And that people like her boss had been complimenting her after years of being invisible. So looking at her first hair test, you could visually see this, that she was feeling, holding everything in. I'm not worthy, giving up on life, and rightly so. I can't even imagine having to go through a trauma like that. So, this is where she was at. But, you know, working through, there were countless times that we talk and text and just kind of help her get through these tough times. And then she just let this all go, let it all go. She's out of sympathetic dominance, releasing these amigos. Her body's stronger and healthier. And even if she struggles with some fatigue and feeling down, her body, her foundation, I always say, fix the foundation. Her foundation is strong. She's staying out of that low sodium to potassium, so she has her power back. This is just her adrenals are still struggling there, but overall she's doing so much better, and also releasing nickel, and that had to do with feelings of suicide. So, she kind of worked through all that and let it go. And even though she'll never fully, heal from such a tragedy as losing your only child, she now feels like she can be out there enjoying life, being better at her God-given talent of being a violinist, and now she can live and thrive, because she's been working through all of this stuff. So it's not just about the nutrition and the rest, which they are very important, but it's letting go and working through that dark, the things that we hold on to and we're afraid to talk about and let go. And she just worked through all of that. I'm super proud of her, and I really wanted to share this because it's just great to be able to see, this progression of her from this first hair test to this one. And then also I do this worksheet on my clients. I'm an accountant, so I tend to be a little nerdy, and I put this in Excel and I create this worksheet for my clients and for me, because I want to be able to see, over time how, people are able to let go. Because I have some very sick clients with Lyme and just really burned out. And so it's, to be able to go back and look at how they're doing, much better. Like, look at her sodium, how burned out she was, and then where she is now, getting closer to the ideal range. So that's why I do this. And I also do this calculation in the orange, which shows, how close or far out from the middle someone is. So you can see that this higher this number is, the slower somebody is. And the closer that it gets to zero would be like more of a mixed oxidation. And then if the number was negative, it would be fast oxidation. So I like to look at that. You can see that she kind of rocked back and forth there, healing, letting go, resting, and then speeding up during the elimination. So that's why I like to look at that, and just kind of look at the other ratios. And then ARL doesn't calculate these other ratios, but I do. I like to look at them and see them over time as well. But this is how I do work with my clients. I do a video of your hair test. I put it on a worksheet. I go through it so that you understand what's happening, even though you may not really get it. You could download the video and watch it later, but over time, things will start to make sense to you, because I'll kind of repeat it, give you some things to read, and so that you understand it more. And I also think it's important that you understand your symptoms. Like, for instance, with a sodium to potassium ratio, when it's low and it's moving out into a normal or high range, to really understand the types of feelings that are associated with that ratio, so that when you're coming out of it, because then your program would need to be changed. So that's why I like to educate my clients, so that you become your own healer. I'm here to assist you, but I think it's important to also teach you, so that you understand what's going on with your body. So this is the way that I work. And if you'd like to work with me, go to my website. It's in the description part of the video, and go under shop, or you can email me at hello@michelledeamber.com, and I'll get back to you, and we can set up a time to have a 15-minute free consult, and just see where you're at, and what you would like, to work on. But hit that subscribe button, and the like, and leave your comments. I'm going to try and do another one of these case studies in the next few weeks. Let me know if you have any questions. Thank you.